Hi everyone, Shauna Carpelis here with CA Bar Style. I wanted to give an overview of our early bar prep program. I get a lot of calls about what this program exactly entails, and I wanted to bring just a short kind of summary to exactly what to expect when enrolling in our early prep program. If you are working or you're a parent or you have a lot of personal priorities which keeps you pretty busy, I'd highly recommend getting a head start on your preparation. Most applicants prepare about 2 months before the bar they're going to sit for, and typically it's not enough time. So the early bar prep program, and we're one of the only companies that actually has a real early prep program. This is not just about sending you materials and telling you to start reviewing. This is really about knowing what you are to do within an organized schedule and allowing you to get a really good head start on the preparation. So the first step is knowing when to start. Typically for the February bar, applicants will start an early prep schedule no later than around August, September. That is the general, on average, start time. That will allow at least 3 to 4 months before the general course begins in mid-December for the February bar. And you'll have a lot of time to really sit with the majority of subjects. It may not be all of them, but it will give you at least about 2 weeks per subject to really go through the flow of exactly what I tell you to go through, because I know what you need to prepare, and really digest the subject instead of just rushing in a 3 to 4 day time frame per subject, which is the average flow when the course begins in December. So in phase one, you're looking to start for the February bar around August, September, some date within that time frame. For the July bar, you should start maybe somewhere around January, February, early March will give you a really nice head start for when the course begins in July around mid-May. So about 2 to 3, maybe 4 months of an early prep is a really good amount of time to get some great preparation done. Once you enroll, we will pick a start date, and then I will customize a schedule for you. The schedule is based on an assessment that I give you right around the time that you enroll. For first-time takers or even repeat applicants, I'm looking to see, especially from the repeaters, any previous blue books. I can assess those at that time. That does give me a really big insight into exactly what's been going on if you are a multiple time taker. I can look at your writing, your previous MBE scores, your performance test work in those blue books, and get a really good feel for exactly where you are falling short. If you're a first-time taker, I'm looking at how you did in law school, subjects that were hard for you, maybe what your writing skills are, how your legal analytical skills are, your ability to decode an actual case and pull out relevant law. So there's an assessment that goes on there. And based on that assessment, I am making and customizing a schedule for you. So there is a highly individualized component of the schedule. Nobody in early prep has the same schedule. The schedule will take you about 10 hours of study time per week. That is the base starting ground, and we will build from there. We usually don't take away, but we will build from there if needed. So as you're going through the schedule I make you, let's say in 2 to 3 weeks, I feel like based on the work product I'm seeing coming in, you need some more practice somewhere. Or maybe you need to do MBEs in a certain categorical area because you're not scoring high enough to where I need you to be at that time. I may add a little bit to your early prep schedule. But on average, you're never going to study more than 10 to 15 hours per week in the early phase. And that is because you don't want to burn out. Now, for those of you that are really zealous about your preparation and maybe won't be working and are going to take time off to study, maybe we can bump it up and we can talk about that, in the assessment period. But for most that will be working, which is the reason why you're doing an early prep, because you know you're not going to just be able to study in 2 months. You need more time. Or maybe you've taken the exam before and you just know that crunch 2 months is just too much for you and you feel too much stress during that time, and you really need more time to study, then we're looking at about 10 to 15 hours a week. as a starting base. The schedule that I make typically covers substantive law review. That is the first step. So through my methodology that I give you when you enroll in our materials, because you'll only be using CA Bar style materials, you will start going through the substantive law in the correct way, in a focused way, in a way that will allow you to really start connecting with the requisite elements per causes of action, for defenses, for exceptions, and really start understanding in this big area of law what actually comes up here on the multiple choice if you're taking that section, and the writing portions of the California bar exam. What actually gets tested here? You really never want to just do this on your own independent study and start just going through outlines and making flashcards. You can get really lost in an abundance of material. So it's really important that I guide my applicants into exactly how to focus in on the substantive law. And in the early phase, we have a lot more time to really sit with it and have it connect in a way that you'll start memorizing and remembering the rules. So that's the first step, is substantive law review. The second is approach, and you will start going into a little bit of that even in the early phase. You'll start getting to understand what are the 4 to 5 different ways that negligence come up on the California bar essays. How is homicide tested, felony murder in the first and second? What are always going to be my issues? What are sometimes going to be my issues? Where am I going to give counter arguments typically? What are my conclusions going to look like in certain calls of question or fact patterns? So we're getting into some of the approach. We're scratching the surface. How are we learning approach? Through material and lecture. In the early phase, the lecture is covered in video format. They're pretty short and easy to watch. So for my attorney applicants that don't have a lot of time, they're really nicely formatted. It's about an hour, maybe an hour and a half on approach. And you start then getting into the next step, the third step in your schedule, which is your practice. In early prep, you're writing about 1 essay per subject. The goal is to start the writing process, start getting the approaches into play, start working through them, and really understanding conceptually how the scheme of a universe of testable issues in a given call of question really are supposed to be formatted and answered in your essay answer. In addition to essay approach in early prep, you'll also be going into MBE, multiple choice approach, if you're taking that portion of the exam, and you'll start understanding, similar to the essays, how product liability gets tested on the multiple choice. What are the tricks and strategies there? We use Jonathan Grossman, the MBE guru from Adaptabar. He has video approach as well that applicants have access to in my program. And it's really amazing for understanding how the multiple choice are tested, because it's worth 50% of your score here. And if you're taking that part of the exam, you really have to be very strong there, obviously. So we start the process of approach on essays and MBE and get you on practice on your MBEs and essays as well. We also will start the approach on the performance test. You've got to really know the PT. You have to pass this performance test, but we're just kind of scratching the surface. I give you one just to see how you do with it, and then I work through your skill set and approach on an individualized basis to see where exactly you're going to need help. Timing is also considered throughout the early prep stage, and I start seeing how you're doing with your timing, because obviously timing is a huge factor when taking this exam. The next step is when you get your written work graded, and when you're doing your multiple choice, and there's a way that I have you track that, then we set up tutoring sessions even in the early prep stage so that I can start tracking you. And the earlier that I can see these areas that need improvement, because I'll see it right away, the earlier I can let you know about it, and then you can start working through that. So the tutoring sessions are really important. Those can be done in the office. Our office is in Sherman Oaks, California, which is about 20 minutes or so north of Los Angeles. or we do it online via Skype or good old-fashioned phone conferencing works really well, and we go through everything together in about a 1-hour format. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it takes a little more, but we're going through and I am connecting all the dots for you in that session to really bring home what I see going on. So it's really important that you schedule those sessions, and it really is where everything starts connecting. As you're going through your early prep schedule, we may need to give you some more substantive law support, so that tends to happen in early prep as well. But it's a really great way to get a head start so you can take some of the pressure off when the course begins. Again, that's mid-December for February and mid-May for the July bar. When those second phases begin, it does pick up, and you have to then be ready to study at least like a part-time job, maybe 25, 30 hours at a minimum of study time. My course is not ever going to be about 10 to 12 hour study days because it's a very focused bar review. But at the same time, the second phase will always be more of a bar boot camp than an early phase. So applicants do really well taking their time, pacing themselves, and building their momentum and stamina to study for this California bar exam. So it's a really great way to get a head start. I would love to have you in my early prep program. Right now, we are enrolling. We have a next enrollment date of August 1st, and then after that will be after Labor Day, around the 4th or 5th of September. So if you're looking to get a head start, I know that there are a lot of people that were worried about the low passage rate from February 2018. Please don't be worried. You definitely can do this. A lot of my applicants pass that bar, and you can too. Give me a call. Let me put together a program and scheme for you, and I will help you build your confidence again and get you back on that horse so you can really start preparing in the right way. If you have any questions or you would like to enroll, please give us a call. 818-616-3302. My email is CA like California, CA bar style, BARSTYLE @yahoo.com. Have a great one.